or morning or evening, whenever it is that you are watching this. Hopefully you're joining me live. If you are joining on Restream, just know this show, Domain to Profit, is filmed live, not in front of a studio audience, just me and you through this screen. So thank you for joining me. If you're watching on Restream, join us live if you ever can, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. That is when we do this. It is best consumed live. Otherwise, you're seeing some information that's going to be dated because we do talk about domain names that are expiring this week. They're only going to be available this week. And that means that if you're watching this after this show airs, then you may be missing out a little bit. So that's okay. But you know, if you're really looking for those opportunities of the expired domains, live is the way to join us. So if you are, as you are coming in live, as everybody is joining in, make sure you say hi in the chat, because one of the benefits of joining us live is it's not just this guy right here. It is all the people that are in the chat, all the others that are out there looking for great expiring domain names, developing domain names, looking for sources of income and ways to create the future in the life that they want via domain names. Because domain names have created a great life for me, and I know 100% that they can for you too. It's not an instant scratch-off lottery ticket. It is something that you work for, and it's hard. Anything worth doing is going to be hard, especially if you're not used to doing hard things. So let's start doing hard things. Watching me, probably not so hard. Doing the stuff that we say to do, well, a little harder. So, okay, now that everybody's kind of popping in, we'll get started on things. So today I want to talk about something that is, I steer clear of the controversial stuff. I want to be somebody that helps you make your dreams come true. I hate crushing dreams. And today I need to talk about something that is, I got to break some bad news to some of you. If you are a non.com, if you buy domain names that are not .com, then you really have to listen to today's message, a little bit of what we're going to be talking about, some basic economics, some lessons that are going to not just use, it's not going to be Drew's opinion, it's going to be the logic behind why .com is what you should be buying, even if you see and think that the riches lie elsewhere. Make sure that you're going the right direction. So I want to talk about that. We will talk about that just after we say hi to everybody after we get going. So make sure you've said hi. See you on the other side of this.
From domain to profit, from a .com to a business idea. Take a domain name, develop an income from domain to profit. We'll show you how. Domain to profit, from domain to profit. Join Drew Wash and get started right now.
Nice. I use Restream, which is a web app. I use Restream to broadcast this out to you. It goes out to YouTube, which is where most of us are over on YouTube. YouTube.com/Drew Wash like wash your hands. I was told that we got, and let me actually put this up on the screen. Here it is. Matt was letting us know that we've crossed 700 subscribers. So that's awesome. If you have not, make sure you say hi. Make sure you subscribe and like the video. I work for likes and subscribes. That's it. All of this experience that I bring to the show and the love that I bring coming here each week is literally just for a click. So make sure you click. I appreciate it. But I just noticed on Restream here, they have a countdown now that helps me know when the video's working. Anyhow, I like it. I dig it. Yes, let's go, Chaz. That was right at 3 p.m. You knew I was clicking live when you sent that, which 100%, whatever. I was not late. I was right on time. And then Monthly Investor, thanks for joining us. Nice to have you here. What up, peeps? Yes, it is about everybody else that's here. Fred, nice to have you here. Always good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And I see everybody out there saying hi to each other. I love having you all here. Thank you for joining me. it gets really boring if I'm just talking to myself. That's how I spend most of my life. So I want to talk a little bit about today. Let me actually share it out here if I can do this without messing up my screen. I did I played around on Friday, and I tweeted out a game. It was the praise. Let me get my thoughts together here. I'm actually trying to bring it up on the screen. So it was this here. I tweeted out, let's play buy, roast, or praise. And this was, I was going to spend some time on Friday looking over the domains that people sent in to me. And, I was going to buy, praise, or roast them. And it was going to be a nice little fun game. And at first, the domains were nice .com domains. People were sending in domains that they knew that I'd be interested in, which I saw some was able to give a lot of praise. But then as time progressed, what ended up happening was more and more non.com domains entered into the fray. And I would have been spending a lot of time just being like beating up on people, and I don't like doing that because I want to be helpful. It's an important piece to what I do in life. Is I want to contribute, I want to help others, and yes, sometimes you got to beat up, you got to tear down some ways of thinking, which we're going to do a little bit of that today. But it's not about just tearing down an idea of non.com domain names being bad. Like, it's not just putting that idea out there. It is about helping you understand why .com are the primary ones, and why, especially if you are someone who's investing in domain names, you're taking money and putting on your credit card or putting your hard-earned dollars towards buying domain names with the purpose of making more money. Why, if you are not spending your money on .com, you are making the wrong decision. And someone out there is teaching you something bad that I want to break down and help you see the correct way to start off in investing in domain names. And to do that, I want to talk about this right here, which is just good old economics. Let me try to get that up to where you can see it here. I love economics. I kind of slightly studied it in college. Well, not slightly. I almost did a double major. Anyhow, besides the point. You may be familiar with this kind of graph right here, the idea of supply and demand. And that is, as price is higher, which would be the far axis over there, if the price is higher, more people are going to enter in the market to sell it. Okay? Supply and demand, it's one of the things that drives all economic. You have $100, how are you going to spend it? Well, supply and demand is part of the equation. There's a lot more to this. Well, one of the things that happens a lot of times with domain names is we think, oh, well, there's only one of these domain names, whether it's a .com or a .net or a .horse. I think Lee's here, so a .horse domain name, shout out to him. Who always makes fun of the .horse, which for good reason. So there's only one Drew.horse, for example. And wouldn't Drew love to own that possibly? Or maybe there's a million people named Drew, and only one of them could own Drew.horse. So certainly somebody would pay a lot of money. There's only one supply, so there's scarcity, and there's a reason for somebody to pay a lot for it. And maybe somebody out there that loves horses would love to own Drew.horse. The thing is there room there for you? That's one of the things that let me try to get clear on this is, when you buy a domain name and you're looking to resell it, there has to be room for you to profit. If you buy that domain name for $10, who are you going to sell it to for more for you to be able to profit? And one of the things that happens is there's no profit there. There's no room there for a Drew.horse. Now, Drew.com, there's a lot of room. There's all that million Drews. Now it's just a matter of who's going to pay the most out of that million Drews. Yeah, that's off track. Let me get back on track here. Me seeing Lee chime in with this .horse stuff. The supply in the supply graph, which the supply graph in this case is the red line that goes up. And what that is saying is the supply increases as the price goes up. Okay. One of the things that we think in domains is there's only one domain, therefore it's scarce. It needs to be a higher price. But it's not just a single domain name. It is all domains. You're competing with all other domain names out there. And that's one of the flaws that happens with these other extensions is it's not just drew.com. Of course, only one can own that, but I can get drewwash.com. That's a perfectly great domain, accomplishes the same mission. So it is drewwash.com. Maybe I can go with mynameisdrew.com. There's other alternatives that are available out there, not just the scarcity of one specific domain name. There's lots of domain names that would help me accomplish it. And what I hear a lot of times is, yeah, but there's only one that's exactly Drew. Were you possibly thinking that? Well, the thing about that thinking is one of the reasons why a lot of people want to own the exact .com is because they don't want to spend the effort in branding and communicating other parts of a domain name. So for example, I want to own towing.com because towing411.com would require me to tell everybody that towing 411 would be where they need to come to. I would have to do a lot of work to say that, hey, towing 411 is a towing website. And that creates, I have to spend a lot of money to get the same thing that a .com domain name would create. And I'm wondering if I'm being clear on this at all. Is this, dang it. This is the tough part about coming in and trying to talk about something specifically logical. And I think I'm failing. I'm all over the place on that. Thought is failing. Okay, well, let me just say this. Let me give you a couple of my main points. And apologies if you came here looking for clear communication on this. Because I want to do a good job because I think this is important, but I don't think I'm accomplishing my goal of that. It boils down to this. This is the most important lesson I can lay out for you is this. We all need to do this. This is something I have journaled about on numerous occasions, and that is we need to observe reality as it is, not as you want it to be. That right there is really what it comes down to. Observe reality as it is, not as you want it to be. All of this supply domain talk or supply and demand talk that I'm talking about is just saying reality is telling you one thing and you're wanting to believe something else. And I'll just demonstrate. Let me go over here and demonstrate what I'm talking about. So I know, like me, you're a dreamer, and I am a dreamer. I see hope and potential in everything. I see potential in you. I see potential in everyone that I see on the street. I see potential in every domain name that I run across. And that potential, it blurs my brain. It puts me in a mentality where I am all rise, I am all love, but you can't be all love. Because ultimately there is bad. There is flaws in being all hope. And let me break it down in this way. So I'm on NameBio. That's what I have up behind me. And NameBio is really good for getting a dose of reality as a domain name investor. Many out there will say, hey, I own a .xyz. I see great things on Twitter. Therefore, I bought a bunch of .xyzs, and I'm going to be the next person that sells something expensive. Add any extension that you want to with that. Well, NameBio tracks the sales of domain names. So if you're starting out, you need to be on here. What I'm on here is their blog. Their blog is free. You don't have to pay for their blog. You can pay. I recommend if you have some money, go ahead and dive into this. But they show you the sales. They show you all kinds of great information about domains that have sold before, and so on. One of the things we do on SpyFu when we look and evaluate a domain name, which we will be doing here in just a little bit as we look through expiring domain names, is we do a Control F, and then we highlight on the web page what we want to see. In this case, I want to show you reality. And I am doing a Control F and showing you the .com domain names that are mentioned. Now, here we go. So I did a Control F on the blog for NameBio for yesterday. And we just want to kind of look, and what this is going to do is it's going to highlight all the places where a .com domain name was sold. So we want to skip over the featured listings here. These are ads, but you can still see some .coms in there, but we'll move over those. Now we're getting down to the sales results reported on the 8th that are .com. Now, I'm just going to give it a quick scroll. I wish I could show you my bar over onto the side that shows how many times .com's highlighted. But let's just say, look at all the yellow. So we're looking for the yellow here. All the yellow ones represent .com domain names, any blank spots, and these are all the domains that are selling, people. Let reality smack you in the face and just know .coms are the ones that are selling, and if you are buying other domain names, you're going to be missing out. You're buying the wrong extension. Do they sell? Yes. In fact, some of you out there might be saying, "Oh, but the top domain name here, Drew, is a .tv domain name." Yeah, true. What reality is, yes, the number one domain name sold is a .tv. But the other hundreds and thousands of domain names sold were .com. Okay, like you can hope that you'll be the one that owns the .tv and that can sell a .tv. The reality is, sure, hope away. But if you're going to go buy a bunch of domain names to sell and you're going to try to move that inventory, your .tvs aren't going to move. Look at the quantity. You have to buy the right domain names, and part of that is buying the right domain names in .com. I see domains all the time. We will see some today. I bought one just today. I bought a Buy It Now domain name on GoDaddy for $11 plus registration, so $20. I bought a domain name. It was performancedispatch.com. Performancedispatch.com, $20. That can be turned around and sold for hundreds or even maybe a couple $1,000s rather quickly. And when you compare that to the domain names that showed up in my list here, Performance Dispatch, which I just bought for $20, when you compare that to Aerial Pay, Airway Delivery, which that one's okay. Really what it comes down to is so many of these domain names are worse or equally as good as a Performance Dispatch, but I got that for $20. That's so supply demand, $20. Buy the $20 domain name and go make the money. Don't buy a .tv. Certainly don't buy a .horse. Use NameBio. NameBio is your dose of reality. So use that. So I did mention that I would give a couple examples of occasions when you can buy a non.com domain name. I'll give those really quickly. I've not communicated the other pieces clear enough to really want to spend much time on this. I want to get to expiring domain names. So let me just say this. Here's the couple of places that you can buy non.com domain names. One, if you're going to develop the domain name, If you're going to develop the domain name and it's not one of the specific domain developed projects that we talk about here on Domain to Profit, for example, if you are if you want one for your company, for your blog, for something that's not really, the domain name is just an address that's going to be on your business card or other purpose, use any domain name extension you want to. You're already going to have to do the work to bring people to your domain name. Ideally have .com, but if you're going to develop it out, go with whatever, especially if it's just like a random project or something like that. Save the money on the domain name. That's one of the cases where I think using non.com is okay. The other occasion is if the .com is locked down, and in that case, there may be a market for other extensions. For example, towing.com locked down, like that. It's developed. It would take many millions of dollars to get that domain name, because it's not a domain name, it's a business as of this point. So now you can compete on secondary domain names. What's number two? That's what others are asking as of that point. Is it .io? Is it .net? What is it? Only if the .com is locked down. Now, locked down means it is something you could not purchase for tens of thousands of dollars. There's businesses out there you can buy for tens of thousands of dollars. So it needs to be locked down, probably $1 million or more to get that domain name because of the business that's on it. In that case, then it's okay to possibly look at secondary domains. But reality shows, remember, highlighting what we saw on Name Bio shows the reality is you are going to be better off buying .com domain names. So you can go chase after the second best domain name for a locked down .com. It's still good. Like if you're looking for quantity, if you're looking to really sell domain names, spend the time on those secondary .coms like a Performance Dispatch or many others that are available as buy it nows for $20 or so on GoDaddy. So I hope that helps. Let me try to see if I can get to some stuff in chat here to clear it up before I dive in. So nice to see everybody popping in here. Yeah, failed to load Drew. Yeah, exactly. It's sometimes the things that I want to talk about are going to be best over a cup of coffee or sitting around, or maybe me having a whiteboard to talk it through. Today is one of those days. Like, my ambition to help is higher than my ability to communicate clearly. So it happens. Monthly investors asking about some of the controversy about the GoDaddy changes. I'm going to probably skip over that today. You can see that out on Twitter, that GoDaddy's raising commission on selling domains. I'll just say this. Control your own marketplace. Don't rely on a GoDaddy. Ultimately, you are paying okay, I guess I am going to comment on this. So let me put your comment up here real quick. So essentially, GoDaddy's increasing their commission to sell a domain name. And there's two pieces when you're selling a domain name. I don't talk about this very often on the show, but if you're looking to sell a domain name, there's going to be two pieces to it. One is the safety of the money. That is the escrow piece. That is somebody that can facilitate taking money in from the buyer, holding it during the transition and transfer of the domain name. So there's the money piece. That's the practical piece. That's the piece that Dan and GoDaddy are still saying it's just going to be, 5% that they charge for that. So that's still a good fee. It's a nice, cheap fee, 5%. The other piece is for the awareness piece. That piece is essentially what they're increasing their price on, and that is marketing, okay? They are keeping the price of the transaction the same. The other piece is marketing. It is the awareness. If you want your domain name to show up on GoDaddy's website in their database, on their properties, in that case, you're going to have to pay more. And, the answer is, if you want to save 20%, you need to have some other way to market your domain names. I think learning marketing and some of the internet tactics that you can use to get exposure for a domain name is going to be, it's a worthy skill. Spend your time on it. absolutely. And then you'll be able to save the 20%. I think of many people that are going to move to their own landers, they're going to find that it still doesn't get the exposure. It doesn't help unless people are finding them. Part of that's going to be having the right domain name. So if you have the right domain name, people are typing it in, and then having your own lander works. So yeah, I don't know. They're a big business. They get to decide. They get to dictate to you their price. I think that we should all. I don't do much business with GoDaddy, other than the many thousands of dollars I spend buying domains through their expired auction. I think they're too big for the. They don't show enough love to a domain investor to get that. So yeah, I mean that's my opinion. Doesn't mean crap. My opinion doesn't mean anything. Ultimately, they control the market. And domain investors like you and I, we have to do better. We have to make sure that we control the market and can market our domain names if the purpose is to sell. Of course, my purpose is not to sell, it is to develop. And I think that's always the best option. So, okay, let me see here. We studied 150. Yeah, and this is, yeah. Let me, if this will pull up. Uh-oh, what's happening here? Hopefully things are, no, am I locked up? Hopefully you are still seeing me. I'm gonna have to refresh because Restream locked up or something. To pop back up. That is an unfortunate turn of events. So I probably lost you there for a minute. It looks like my Restream, I was just praising them for the countdown timer they added, and right as I praised them, they bugged out on me and froze up. So okay, well, hopefully you got most of that. I am going to move on. I went to scroll down the chat, and unfortunately, as the refresh to fix the bug that we just had, I lost all the chat to this point. So I'm going to have to revisit that, and I will, maybe if you would tweet at me, or I'll have to catch up to it. I want to get to expired domain names anyways. So hopefully that is fine that we move on. I hope I didn't miss anything too critical. I apologize, Restream. I'll blame Restream on it. It doesn't make it any better. That doesn't happen very often. It looks like there's a lot of chat happening, and maybe that somehow caused it to have issues. So let's look at some expired domain names. We're halfway through the show, and I want to make sure that we have an opportunity to find this week's expiring domain names. These are domain names that the previous owner, they registered. They thought, hey, I have a dream. I'm either going to sell it, I'm going to develop it, I'm going to do some great thing with this domain name. And now a year or years later, that domain name is expiring. They're letting it go or forgot to renew it or whatever else goes into it. Either way, the domain name is going to be available for you to place your dream on that domain name. So let's dive in. What you see behind me here is expireddomains.net. Expireddomains.net is a free website that you can create an account on and then search through millions of domain names that are expiring this week. So head on over to expireddomains.net. And if you have your search saved, then go ahead and pull up your GoDaddy search. You will go to expired domains, marketplace domains, and then the expired domains right here. That's where we spend our time. And then we set up filters. I will show them very briefly. No numbers, no hyphens. No numbers, no hyphens, and we look over the next 8 days of domain names is what should appear over there. If you can see that, I'll squeak it onto the screen. Okay. We look over 8 days. Basically, that's saying we are looking through next Monday, and we are only looking for 1 to 3 English words, and then staying on pace with what we've talked about up to this point, we spend only our time on .com domain names. Am I in love with .com domains? I don't give a crap about .com. Reality says .com is the best extension. That's all it is. I don't really. VeriSign owns the .com register, like the .com. Like, I don't want to support some giant company like VeriSign. Ultimately, reality says, pay attention. You need to buy .com domains because that's what everybody is used to and what everybody uses. So reality dictates .com is all we look at. So that's all that ever is. Then when we come in here, let me stop scrolling for 1 second. Then when you load this to expireddomains.net and we are looking at GoDaddy auctions, you click on valuation and that will order, and you'll see that now the most expensive valued domain is on top, and then down from there is the prices. So we will look through the first couple hundred domain names and look not just for the ones that are valued the most. We are going to look for the domain names that are the best domain names that are listed in the first few hundred or so. So we are going to dive into that. So now, if you've followed all that ranting and raving, and maybe you're watching on Restream, pause it, go back, make sure you get it lined up. You're going to see the exact same thing on your screen as I do here. Now we just start right at the top, and we start looking through expiring domain names for the domain names that aren't just, they don't sound just the best. Like, these are going to be the domain names that you can, not as a domain name investor necessarily. Occasionally we talk about those domains. These are domain names that you can develop, that you can use to generate income, that you can use to generate a lifestyle for yourself of freedom and flexibility. Those are the domain names we're going to be looking for specifically, not just domain names that are fun. So, okay. Like, for example, investor hat on, I like robbers.com. Now, as far as a domain developer, but I don't know what I would put on there. Nothing. Don't really know. Global Staffing. Let's go check that one out. Global Staffing, not sure what I think about it, but this is where one of the things that is probably one of my best qualities is it's not about my opinion, it's about my experience, and it is about the data. I don't rely on my opinion much. Humans are flawed. We are flawed. We can be hacked. We can be manipulated. That is not what this is about. You'll find that elsewhere. Everybody else is out there trying to manipulate you into getting something that benefits them. I want you to have the building blocks and the pieces of data and the process necessary to see a domain name, identify whether it's good for development, whether it's a domain name that you can buy and build and make money on or not. That's it. Reality. We're just dealing with reality. Global Staffing, 270 over there on the far side here. 270 exact searches. That's not a very high number, but it is something. Now I'm doing what I did with the .com on name bio. Control F. To get to this page, I should set up. We went to spyfu.com. We took the domain name globalstaffing.com, took the .com off, toss it away, and now we are just looking at the words of global staffing. We placed them in here as keywords, did a search, and now I did a Control F to highlight where global staffing shows up on this page. We're just doing that to visually see where the domain name that we're looking at, how it's used, where it appears. We're taking in this information. For example, Insight Global Staffing, another 320 searches, still pretty small numbers. Healthcare Global Staffing, New Tech, these are probably business brands. We see some of the keywords over here. What are the next trends in the next 10 years for global staffing? This box here, I always say, is going to, if you were to buy this and you know nothing about global staffing, I know nothing about it, what content would you put on that domain name? This box is what helps you with that. It's the questions that people are asking Google about the highlighted words. So How large is the global staffing industry? See that one up there? That's something that probably should be answered on globalstaffing.com. You don't have that answer. Don't go out and search for the answer. Build a system, create a website that allows the visitors, your members, your advertisers to answer that question. And now your website will be able to grab that, the 44 searches, and be the place that people go to find the answer for that question. And where I like to spend my time, and this is one of the things that makes our show here different from a lot of other blogs and things that are talking about domains out there, is we care about this box right here. Not just from the perspective of, we want to see money behind an industry. We want to see competition. So one of these things right here is the number of advertisers that are currently advertising for this keyword. There's only 2 of them, but there are advertisers. That's good to know. And they are paying a $4.22 or 24 cents cost per click. What that tells us is there's a couple advertisers paying to show up under this keyword. I like to see advertisers at 10 or more. I like to see cost per click at $2 or more. We have that. Check that box. The number of advertisers only 2 though. That means that there's not the competition necessary to make putting a website on this an option to help the lower guys outcompete the upper guys. When there's 10 companies competing for a single keyword, there's, like I say, there's blood in the water. People are competing heavily to grab that traffic, to grab that attention on that keyword. In that case, that is a beautiful keyword. In this case, there's something there. Certainly a domain name worth looking into. Let's see what it is. I'm going to click on that. I don't think I've done that yet. I did, actually. I'm all over the place. Not my best organization today. Okay, so globalstaffing.com ends in 4 days, $765 currently. The estimated value, $12,000. Looking at the numbers, quickly doing a calculation, we are 1/5 of the way to 10 advertisers. So the value as a developer is going to be $1,200 or probably less. So probably not much room there for a developer unless you know that industry. Keep it stuck to these numbers and move on, which I do not know this industry. Cash Deals sounds like a good domain name. Okay, let me see here. See, I mentioned a Fred's comment, perfect domain. Oh yeah, I did see, that was what I was clicking on when things were aired out. Fred shared in the chat that Huge Domains and Perfect Domains, which are a couple bulk domain buyers, Huge Domains won 46% of their auctions. Perfect Domains, basically there's a couple big players out there that essentially are the algorithm that we're sharing here that we talk about each week. They basically have that automated, and they go out there and buy lots of domains. Now, I will tell you that in many cases, I still, for example, Performance Dispatch, I still got that one for $20. So there's still opportunities out there. Don't let the fact that there's big fish in the waters, scare you away from .coms. There's a reason they're there. There's a reason they buy so many domain names. It's because they know it's where to buy them. I would love to know if they're buying .com or other extensions. I'm 99% sure they're only pretty much buying .com, or majority of their domains, not even majority, like 99% of their domain names are .com, because they look at reality and buy based on reality. So interesting stuff there. There's plenty of room for the individual, but yeah, they have an advantage. They analyze the data. They are looking at reality, plugging it into formulas, and then they have big pockets to be able to pull money out to buy these domains. So like them or love them or leave them, hate them, whatever it is. it's reality. It's one of those things where it's like, just like I said, observe reality and adjust accordingly. Reality is where we have to live. They are there. I see lots of people that have in the domain name forums talking about how horrible huge domains and things are. They're kicking your ass. I don't know what to tell you. Like, you can like them or not like them. It doesn't change reality. They're doing exactly what you could do if you set out to do it. And that is buy lots of domain names through the API, through the automation. And then if you buy enough domain names, you get discounts because now you have power over GoDaddy because they really, really want your business. And it's just reality. It's like, you have to observe as it is, not as you want it to be. And there's going to be big fish out there. So wouldn't you want a customer if you were GoDaddy? Wouldn't you want a buy domains, or a huge domains that buys so many thousands of domains? Yeah, you would want that for sure. So, hey, well, here's Wonderwalls. I'm just clicking on that for the fun of it. It's a just common joke, and I like it. So anyhow, there's wonderwalls.com. Not actually going to look at that domain name. opensourcesoftware.com. This is an enom domain name that feels like one that's being shopped around. Let's see how many days are left on that. Zoomed out 2 days. I don't look at enom domains unless they're within 2 days. So that's going to be skipped over for now. But as I showed a couple weeks ago, I have one enom domain names. So that one's a fun domain that you can research for the fun of it. I'm not going to do it here on the show. Dog Snacks. How about that one? Is that one ending soon? Nope. See, this is why we don't mess with enom domain names. Okay, this is more often than not they get pulled back. When they get pulled back, this is what happens. The domain name's been renewed. Sorry, but the domain name's no longer available. Why? So let's see how long that one. Usually right before 2 days left is when they do it. So let's see. Yep. So if you can see here, so that's why it's down here. Okay. So essentially, right around 2 days is when the last second that they can pull that domain name back. And that's exactly what they do. That's why I don't look at enom domains unless it's within 2 days. It's just going to be a waste of time. So, but they do sometimes go through. So there you go. Newmember.com, bikefestival.com. That could be a thing. It's something that if you want to go looking into yourself, feel free to check it out. I want to keep looking. I'm hoping for a good domain name to talk about a business on. I'll tell you what, L Couch, I see in the chat, like, you're just going to have to raise your prices and sell on GoDaddy still is really what it comes down to. Someone out there will use this opportunity of the increased GoDaddy commission to set up a marketplace. Somebody's going to do that in a alternative reality. That could be me. It's not something I have other things I want to work on is really what it comes down to. We already wrote the software to build landing pages and stuff years ago. We used to use them. We don't use them anymore. It was an afterthought. Basically what it comes down to is you can build out your own landing pages, and efty.com, I think is what it is, EFTY.com. They will build the landers for you. It's an automated system, and then it uses the cheap Dan rate. The problem is there's that part of that commission is for the transaction, that escrow piece. The other piece is for the marketing. Unless you buy the right domains where people are typing them in, you need GoDaddy's marketing piece, and that is where they really get people. So learning internet marketing is really what it all comes down to. there's tactics you can use. You can put on your domain name, you can target people around the topic of it. So for example, sunelectricity.com. There you go, sunelectricity.com. What are they saying? They're essentially saying solar electricity. I'm going to use this as an example of how you can build out some marketing for this domain name. This may end up being some of the best content you get for the day, because this is something I've been thinking about teaching, but who knows. So I'm just doing exactly what we do usually when we look at a domain name here. Sunelectricity.com is the domain name. You can see there's nobody really searching for it specifically. There are 5 advertisers not really paying much for it. And what is Sun Electricity actually saying? Sun Electricity is looking at this right here. Solar power, okay? So there are lots of people, if I get my head out of the way, big old head, watermelon head. So there's tens of thousands of people looking for solar powered related stuff. So there's an audience there. There are people that are selling products, services related to solar power. An alternative way to say that would be Sun Electricity. If I wanted to sell this domain name, I would put up a lander page on it, choose a price, buy it for as cheap as I possibly could. Right now it's $70. I'm guessing you can get this domain name for a few $100s. Then what I would do is, if I was in the business of selling domain names, I would put and learn how to add a Facebook tag to the domain name, add a Google tag to the remarketing tag to the domain name, and then when somebody visits the page, I would make sure that they are seeing and mentioning like, hey, this domain name's for sale for $3,000. But then I would also run a small ad to anyone that is a small business owner that is interested in solar power or something like that. I would basically try to find a very precise market and then run a small Google ad for as low amount of money as possible, cap your max. It won't get much exposure that way, but it will. And then you're pulling people in to let them know that Sun Electricity is available as a domain name for $2,800. You buy it for a few hundred, you put a few hundred into marketing, and now you've created the exposure, that marketing piece to sell the domain name. That's how I would do it if I was playing that game. But that sounds like a lot of work just to make $1,000. Of course, you could duplicate over and over and over again. It's just, there's a reason not too many people do that. If it was a good way to do it, then you'd see more people doing it. But the big guys do that. So anyhow, I don't know if that's helpful at all. Like I see Fred mentioning Brand Bucket, not had much luck with Brand Bucket. That is exactly what Brand Bucket does. That is what Brand Bucket does, is they take domain names and they take domain names that sound pretty good and they retarget whenever anybody visits it. They retarget them with a ad on Facebook or Google, but they are doing is very common internet marketing things to sell that domain name. You can do those exact same things, and if you do them, yes, you save the 20% that is paid to Google or to GoDaddy. You save that money, but instead of paying 20% for it, now you've had to put a lot of time building systems and learning really important skills. So possibly try it out. It's an option. I think if you're going to learn internet marketing, it's good to learn. I can even give some resources if it's something you're really wanting to dive into. You can do free stuff, but ultimately you're going to probably have to pay for a class. I really enjoyed, if you do a search for one challenge away, or no, it's, dagnabbit, I'd have to look it up. I can't remember what that is. There's basically for like $100 or less, you can go through a 12-week course that helps you build a product and all this different stuff. It talks about some internet marketing skills. So here's Nurse Buddy. That sounds like a brand, sounds like a product. I know that somebody out there probably owns nursebuddy.io and .net and all this other stuff. The .com is going to be available. It's probably going to go for $200 or less. Don't be scared of a $200 domain name. If you're serious about domain names, get a $200 domain name that you can sell for a couple $1,000, and then work on selling that domain name versus waiting for somebody to type something in and buy it. Like one of my coaches put out a video today. If you don't do it, darrendaly.com. It's free kind of motivational videos each day. And today's was about how we sit around wanting things to be easy. We think that if we work hard, it should get easier, and that's not how it works. Working hard does not make it easier. Working hard makes you used to doing hard things. It's a really good video to watch this morning. That's something I talk about somewhat frequently, but they say it much better than I can. But things don't get easier. You have to learn how to do harder and harder things is all it is. It doesn't get easier, as Jim Rohn used to say. It doesn't get easier, you get better. That's it. Like, you're just getting better. So you put the same amount of effort in. It's still hard, but you're able to do more. Yes, that is it. That is it. Fred found that. So if you go find that, it is the challenge, though. You have to find the challenge, because let me just give a warning on that. What Fred is, that is the whole purpose of this program, is to sell you something at the end of it. You don't have to buy that. Don't buy it. But the training program that they use, it's marketing, and it's a tactic that they use, a strategy. They give you a great training up front, teaching you how you can do things that use their product. But the training itself is very helpful for learning how to build out an internet marketing business, and it's very cheap. It's like $100, and you can learn a lot of important skills for developing a product and selling products online. Okay, of course that one's gone. That was Portal Development. I thought that was fun. So, have we even looked at domains? I hate that it was all over the place. I was so eager to talk about non.com domains today. My heart breaks for so many people that were in the comments of my tweet trying to sell like just domains I wouldn't hand register for freaking thousands of dollars. It's like, you are never going to sell that domain name. The supply and demand of that domain is just not going to get you. Anyhow. At least start with .coms, but use NameBio to get your daily dose of reality. Subscribe to their blog for sure. Check it out every day. Have it pounded into your face. Have it placed into your eyeballs and pounded into your mind how important .com is. That's not my opinion. That is reality. And NameBio is a great way for you to see every day, oh, wow, everything's .com except for these 3 domains. And I'm sure somebody out there is going, yeah, Drew, but that's because you can add commas and parentheticals, and you can explain reality however you want to, but reality is reality. It just sucks. It sucks we live in a reality that, well, sucks. It sucks that that's the case. It sucks that it makes it hard, and that the easy way is not actually a thing. And when you see somebody else out there that got it, that sold a non.com, and they're like, yes, I made all this money off this, I'm a genius. And what they don't tell you is that it took forever. They learned a lot of lessons and wasted a lot of money, and they're only sharing the reality of one success, not the many, many other failures and the fact that they're still going broke. Anyhow, dagnabbit, not really. Last week we had so many great domains I could barely get off the show because we had so many great domains. This week we're going on page 3, and I've barely had any to talk about. Then again, my mind's only, I'm probably not as focused on the list as what I usually am. Let's go look at some buy now domains. Let's spend 5 minutes implementing what it is that I'm talking about here. So one of the ways you can search through these buy domains, the buy now domain names, is this right here. So up in the corner, there's the marketplace GoDaddy. That top link there is for closeout domain names. Let's go look at closeout domain names. What the heck does that mean? Well, it means that these domain names are domains that they've already went through the expiring auction process, and now they are for sale. You can buy them right this second. So there's 62,000 of them. Why didn't anybody buy them at auction? Does it mean they're not any good? Maybe, maybe not. So we still order by valuation. We can go down through these. Now, here's the thing. If they didn't sell at auction, chances are these are not going to be as high of a quality domain name as what you see selling at auction. Okay, there are domain names mixed in here, and one of the things that will happen though is if we try to do what we do during Domain to Profit, where we look at the expiring domain name auctions and start at the top and go down, you're going to find that we probably won't even find a domain name that I would hand register. Now, the way that I look through these closeout deals is this is when I use filters. I look for, you want to be precise, control your focus, and look for something that will make sense. So let's go with a domain name that starts with my. I talk about it here on the show pretty frequently. I like domain names that start with my. I prefer not to go for domain names that start with you or other things. My is a pretty good one. And now we've controlled our focus and we're looking at my specific ones, and those 68,000 closeout domains, they instantly start to look like something that may be reasonable. My Vested, my Snowy, my Life Matter. If that was Matters, that would be a great one. My Life Matters would be a fun little domain name. It wouldn't be worth hundreds, but maybe $20. Let's see if we can find something real quick. My Celebrity, my Game Token. My Game Token, I don't know if that's a thing. My Callings, if that was singular, I'd like it. So in this case, be picky. Be picky on these domain names. Check them out. Do exactly what we talk about doing in the other ones. You still want to take this and say, here we go, myclosingcost.com. So let's still go over to SpyFu. So now this is a domain name that if we like it, we can go and click the button and buy it. So we're no longer at the auction. We don't have the pressure of an auction and somebody outbidding us and all those things. So here you go, less than 20 searches, so nobody's really searching for it. There's no cost per click. So this is a domain name that we probably don't want to mess with, but let's do a Control F. So look at this. How do I calculate my closing costs? So now you can build a website that's like my closing costs, how to calculate your closing costs. What are my closing costs? Like you could answer these questions on myclosingcost.com, $50, and why my closing costs do not have an exact match up here. What you can do is you will find that, say down here, you can find closing costs. Ignore, now we are not looking at our domain name, so this is not exact match anymore, so ignore this, but scroll down, and what we want to see is, are there people targeting this, this keyword? The answer is no, there's not really money happening here, so I would skip this one personally, but that's one of the ways that you could look at it is, we would be targeting the same audience in market as Closing Costs with myclosingcosts.com. So if we were to build out a site that answered these questions here to generate a few hundred searches or a few hundred clicks, would we be able to generate money? I'd skip that. Like, there wasn't money under the closing costs. Move on. One to the next. Hopefully you can see that progression there. Let me check out some of the chat as we wrap up. I'm already over time, so let me. Okay. I drew. I sold from my own landers. Yeah, like if you have the right domain names, people will type in your domain name. It doesn't need to be hundreds of people typing in your domain name to see if it's like only one person needs to type it in and go, oh, this is available for $2,300. I'll go ahead and buy it. Now, if you hold it long enough, you can get that. Like, I don't sell domain names for like less than $1,600. Not even worth my time. So if it's worth registering, make sure it's worth selling for $1,600. Not to a domain name investor, but it's worth selling to an end user. You're looking for an end user. This would not be something you would contact Drew about buying. And I am going to miss out on some of these. Yeah, I see here Jeffrey's mentioning like he's done his own escrow. That's a tough. It's tough to do your own escrow. Partly just because as a buyer, I'm a little cautious about putting money out there. I've done it. If I know you, if you have a Twitter feed or something that I can see that you're a real person working in the industry, I've done it to where I'll just send the money to send me the domain. I just kind of trust people that way. I'll also do it the opposite way. I prefer, of course, somebody to send me the domain name and I'll send them money. Of course, I'm a public person, so if I screw somebody over, it's going to be known. It's not like I can hide it. Checking out chat still to wrap things up. Yeah, I think we all would love to sell without escrow. Now, the thing is, if you're going to accept a credit card for the payment of your domain name, you're looking at 3% at least still just to process a credit card transaction. So there's always going to be a payment thing. So until we get to maybe crypto or something. Okay. Well, sometimes the reality is my brain is a little all over the place today. I do hope there was some value there in regards to why .com is the main domain extension to buy. It's reality, okay? That's really what it comes down to. Base your buying and selling decisions in reality. What do I mean by that? Go to NameBio and look. Go see what people are actually buying and selling domain names for. Their .com domain names. That's all you need to know. Anything outside of that is buying a lottery ticket. Don't buy lottery tickets. They're a waste of your money. Don't buy non.com domain name extensions. They're lottery tickets, and you're probably going to waste your money. Like, it just reality says that. It's not an opinion. It's like scoreboard. Okay. So that one fact, hopefully it comes through pretty clearly. Then we looked through some domain names. Saw Global Staffing was really the only domain name that we kind of saw. We saw that one that was ends in 4 days, currently $765. Not a whole lot of domain names out there. We talked about selling sunelectricity.com, how we would build out our landing, maybe do some marketing, and you can turn that domain name that you'll probably be able to buy, hopefully $200 or less, and turn that into a potential several $1,000 sale. If you were looking to buy and sell .com domains, of course, that is how you would do it. $50 domain name, $1,600 sale, over and over and over again. Easier said than done. It is not easy. It is not easy. It's hard, but you have to be the person that learns to do those hard things. So, okay, tough Drew a little bit today. I hope that's okay. It's not all rainbows and butterflies. I have to make sure I'm telling it like it is. Otherwise, you're going to be somebody like, if I'm not here being a good teacher letting you know, like, don't waste your money on the wrong things, then I'm doing you a disservice, and I don't want to do that. So, well, anyhow, I'm Drew Wash. This is Domain to Profit, where we look through expiring domain names, looking for opportunities in the form of domain names that we can turn into a profit. Today, yes, we spent a lot more time looking at domains we could buy for the purpose of selling for more. That's the way we were going to profit. Typically, we look through those expiring domain names and find domains that we can develop and turn into a business that brings value to the world and, of course, allows us to siphon off some value for ourselves. I will be back next Monday, 3 p.m. Eastern time, to be looking to look through expiring domain names. Until then, make sure you subscribe, because I might just like randomly go live in a couple days. It could happen, especially after a show like this, when I'm going to go off and go, really missed the opportunity to say some things. In that case, I might go live to just follow it up in a couple days. But you will only know about it if you subscribe, and of course, follow me on Twitter as well, and like the video, even if it was a C- day here on Domain to Profit. Either way, we get to do it next week. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for all the chat. I really, really, really am sorry that I missed some of the chat comments. I wanted to interact. I love the chat. I do this for each of you here on my screen, interacting with me. And it really pains me to kind of have that bug that happened. So we'll do better. We'll do better. It's all we can do. So thanks for joining me. I am Drew Wash, Domain to Profit. See you, if I can get to the screen, see you next week.